Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Tales from the Grim. We're going to be doing a little Capers Off-World today. And so, in addition to the story that we have set here, we're also going to be able to introduce our characters that we created in our episode 0 and the story that we will be covering over the next couple episodes. But before we do that, I'd like to thank our lovely sponsor, Roll20. Roll20, our virtual tabletop of choice. If you would like to start your own adventures in the Capers world, you may do so right now. Look down on the link. You can see how you can actually get the module pack for Capers and begin to tell your own tales in that system, and back the Kickstarter down below, and you will be able to tell it in the soaring 20s. But that reminds me, everybody, we have donations that if you would like to directly affect this system and this story as it progresses, you see down below there are several donation options. However, if you go right now to Kickstarter and for $12 back the Off-World Capers module that's coming out, you may select any of these narrative elements. Just go over to Kickstarter, back it, come right back here and say, hey, I'd like to do this. And any of the options below are open to you. So please, it's a fantastic read. And for just a little bit more, you get all of Capers, which is fantastic. And once again, requires only a deck of cards to enjoy, which is something that can be found, especially if you are sheltering in place, social distancing, or stuck in your abode. But thank you to Roll20. Thank you to my lovely players. Thank you to Craig, the developer of Nerdburger Games, is here with us to play. We're going to go around and quickly talk to everybody, and then we're going to jump into the story. They'll introduce their characters, and we'll find out what we're really doing here. Let's start with Daft Punk. Shane, I believe. Shane, my friend, how are you? And are you ready to play a little Capers Off-World?
Well, I just want to say a fine howdy to all those folks out there. Today, I'll be playing a character who is about as much machine as man, but in his heart, he's a cowboy. His name is Nevada. You can call him Nevada, but we'll be having a talk about it if you do.
Fantastic. As we jump over to Leone. Leone, my friend, how are you? Are you ready to play a little Capers Off-World? And who will you be playing?
Oh goodness, I am so ready to be playing having a little caper off-world, should we say. I am playing Victoria Tori, don't call me Vicky Shaw.
And that's really all you need to know. Just, right. Let's go over to Trooper. Trooper, my friend, how are you? Are you ready for some Capers Off-World? And who will you be playing?
I am so ready for some capers. I have a glass of water, and I do not yet have my bird mask, which makes me really sad. But I suppose I could put on this mask until I could do that. I mean, it's not the same, it's really not the same, but it's, good enough for government work at the moment. I am Trooper SJP. You can find me, Trooper SJP. And I'll be playing Valiant, a birdman. Specifically, if you want to know which kind of bird, a peacock. I've got brilliant plumage, and I feel like my brilliant plumage will help us solve this case somehow. I'm not exactly sure how, but somehow. And also, Seraphim Station Police Department needs you.
Alrighty. And as we jump from that very subtle intro over to the subtle headwear of our friend Heavenly. Heavenly, my friend, how are you? Are you ready for some Capers Off-World? And who will you be playing?
I am very ready, very excited to be here. My name is Heavenly, as Greg just said, and I will be playing Barris, a mushroom creature who, when they enter their mushroom zone, is ready to solve any crime.
This was not discussed. And finally, let us go up to Craig. Craig, my friend, officially welcome to the live version of the channel. How are you? Are you ready to play your own game? And who will you be playing?
Hi, Greg. Thank you. Yeah, I am absolutely ready to play my game because I so rarely get a chance to play as a character. I've played maybe a half a dozen times since I designed the game in the first place. Just a quick note for those who are listening, to be clear on the Kickstarter, the $12 level, that is the supplement. but there are levels in the Kickstarter where you can get the core book that you also need in order to be able to play. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it, but if you already have Capers, then it's just the 12 for the supplement. And I'm playing a character, a lizard man named Nalar. He's fresh out of the Space Cop Academy, if that's what we're calling it, and he has been partnered with Officer Shaw. And we'll see what their relationship turns into here, because I frankly don't know what it's going to be like.
Fantastic. And so, yes, everybody, again, you have met the characters, you've met the players. We're going to delve into their physical appearance and exactly everything that you can expect to see from them throughout the role play of the next hour or so. We'll be, or 2 hours or so. At about the hour mark, we'll be taking a quick 5-minute break, and that's for everybody to make sure that you hydrate and take care of yourselves. This is a time that we need to make sure our immune systems are strong. And so as we get into all of this and we delve in, if you need anything, ask, but sit back and enjoy Capers Offworld. And so, my friends, you have been called to a particular section of Seraphim Station. It is currently 4:08 p.m. Seraphim Station Standard Time. You're standing outside of a prefabricated building, part of a number of prefab buildings that were brought to this moon of Jupiter to set up Seraphim Station, to do so quickly, efficiently, safely. But since its construction, you can tell that along the outside, some supplemental elements have been added to cast it in an almost Art Deco vision of New York City, particularly the Lower West Side. It holds some of the same angles and surfaces that you would see in that city on Earth, but transplanted now to this moon of Jupiter. The 5 of you have gathered, ordered here by Commander Quint, your captain, if you will, of the Seraphim Station Police Department. As you're standing outside, you were told only a few things. 1, do not come in uniform. 2, come armed. And as you're standing out and looking at this building, you know not of what you are about to see, other than this is the building of one of the most famous people in Seraphim Station, one of the most popular, a woman by the name of Helen of Joy. But that's it. The 5 of you have gathered. Whether or not you know one another is obviously up to you. I know that we have a recruit that has a senior officer in tow, but that meeting could have taken place 5 minutes ago. It is up to you, my friends, to tell me who you are and what you look like as you stare at this building. But as you stare at the building with the surrounding Seraphim Station, a bustle of movement at this, a shift change, you are reminded that this is a very chaotic, a very turbulent blender of societies, of extraterrestrial and air quote terrestrial races between the Earthlings and the Sklar and Eaglon, the various other races. But as you're all sitting there, you're reminded that a powder keg is an understatement. Seraphim Station is a rocket ready to erupt. So as you look around and tell us who you are, give me a concern you have as a police officer, maybe a scary situation you've witnessed, and how does the station view you as you view it? Let's go to Trooper first. Trooper, my friend, what do you got?
Well, my character Valiant sort of flies in, swoops in to this home apartment complex. He's wearing civilian clothes, and he tends to wear suedes in layers, sort of layers of suedes that sort of allow him full movement of his wings. And he's got his sort of little peacock feather type things on the top of his forehead, and he's he's nervous about the people he's going to be working with. He hopes that they like him. He wants to make sure that he does a good job for them and that they think well of him. And I think one of the worst things that could happen is if somehow he embarrassed himself or wasn't useful, or that he didn't. I don't know. If something bad happened and he wasn't able to save them, so he's a little nervous about being able to be able to be brilliant and impressive. That's he doesn't want to let anyone down. That's really what he's quite worried about. But he's hoping that he'll be able to be brilliant.
Has he let anyone down?
Not per se. I mean, he doesn't have. I mean, he's not in homicide or vice or anything like that. He's mounted police, so mostly he stands around looking pretty, and he's very pretty. Let's be very clear. He's a very pretty Eglon, but the inability to be able to go out into the field and to prove what he does has been very frustrating, and it makes him nervous because he doesn't know if he is as good as he knows he is, thinks he is, hopes he is. He knows he is. He is. He's that good. It's just that he hasn't been put anywhere where that would be. He's able to show it. I mean, because he is. He is that brilliant. Just, I mean, he's not. I mean, he knows it, right?
To quote the Mighty Mighty Boss Stones, you're just not a coward. You've just never been tested.
Exactly. And I'm not worried about that. Like, I don't have any concerns about what that, it's fine. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And as we move away from the very certain Eagle-on, let's go over to Leone. Leone, my friend, who do we see? What do you think of about the station? What concerns you? And what does the station think of you?
You may be able to take the human woman out of the uniform, but you can never take the uniform out the human woman. So, standing at the foot of this complex, wearing an electronic surveillance visor, wearing a asymmetrical zigzag skirt, boots, and a black roll neck top, very, very subtle, just kind of like puffing on a electronic cigarette, wondering what's coming on next, occasionally checking their timepiece because their new recruit is late. Of course they are. They haven't met the wrath that is Victoria Shaw. And I'm kind of looking up at this building, wondering what this Helen of Joy has got themselves into, because usually when I'm put into the job, it's because some diplomat has got themselves in a bit of trouble that needs to be sorted out.
And with that, we go over to Shane. Shane, my friend, what do you see? How does the station view you, and how do you view the station?
Well, I try not to have a high profile. If I'm successful, then the station doesn't really know much about me. I work in vice because I have a hard time seeing innocent folk preyed upon by vultures and coyotes of any civilization. And there ain't no shortage of them up here, despite the fact that we're all in a newfangled space station. I find that the simplest wisdom still guides us. I kind of take my, I take my moral compass from, there was a noble band of heroes back in olden Earth days called the Texas Rangers, and I find that their wisdom is tried and true and pure even today. So I take my moral code from them, but I noticed that as I've been working up here and seeing the filth and depredation that seems ever so pervasive, I feel I might have been a little tainted by it. I I rely on my hologram emitter to augment reality around me, and I didn't necessarily have to purchase the full face version, but I think it helps me. It puts up a barrier between me and, well, pretty much everything. And I'm a little jaded, I got to admit. The Rangers had a saying, guilty men see guilt written on the faces of saints. And I may, in some ways, be a guilty man, and I'm a little bit guarded and suspicious about almost everything. And I'm suspicious, certainly, about this assignment. Like, this is out of my jurisdiction, and I have no idea why I'm being thrown together with a bunch of strangers. It sounds like a bureaucratic decision to me. And the Rangers had a saying, never approach a bull from the front, a horse from the rear, or a fool from any direction. And I think that can be said of any bureaucrat I've ever met. So I'm going to go out. I'm going to go into this situation looking out for numero uno and hoping, excuse me, I wasn't expected to be called into duty today, and I was celebrating my day off. Anyway, let's see what happens.
Well, Nevada, if you see evil in the faces of saints, the only question I have for you, is there a little saint in Nevada?
Not too long ago, I had the opportunity to defend a young girl. She was about 14, and I won't go into the life that no doubt she was headed for in the hands of her captors. But I've maintained my relationship with her. I feel that she brings life and light into me that I had not realized had long since departed me. If there's any saint in me, it's her.
And from saint to mushroom. Heavenly, how does the station see you? How do you see the station?
Well, I think unfortunately everyone always smells me before they see me. I'm told that my odor is very noxious. Where I'm from, it's no big deal to smell like earth and mud and any number of decaying creatures, but people don't really like it here, and so I'm in the forensics unit. I didn't really care what I was assigned to. We're rather new to the whole galactic order, so just the idea of being on a station like this was so exciting. Being offered a job where I could work with so many different kinds of people was just, I mean, it was just fascinating. I'm constantly overwhelmed and but it's fine. And I'm sure that as I approach, I know that everyone is definitely going to know that I'm on my way. But when they turn around, they'll see just a small, friendly little face. And I'm definitely as short as I am wide, covered all over in moss and various growths. And well, I just never really stop smiling because if I do, you definitely don't want to be there for that.
So the question begs, have you ever stopped smiling?
Oh, well, I've definitely seen some things in the forensics unit. What I've learned about the other races so far is that violence is pretty universal and oh boy, they can do a number on one another. But really, I just love anything that happens to me. I just take it with what's that human saying? A grain of salt. Actually, salt is very bad for me. It corrodes my skin, so I do try and avoid it. But, it's just such a fun saying. One time I did stop smiling, and well, I do have an enzyme I can produce that I hear is very painful to certain types of other organic beings.
Threat. As we go to Craig. Craig, my friend, your Sklar has arrived. What do they look like? But more so, when they think of the station, perhaps when they've recently arrived, or a station they've recently called home, what do they think of it? And perhaps what does the station think of this new entity?
Nalar Nalar is a Sklar. That is, he's a lizard person from the homeworld of Sklarn, and the Sklarn were in a war with the Eglons, that is, with Valiant's people for many, many years, and he grew up believing that he would take part in that war. The war ended before he got the opportunity to join the military, and he feels cheated by not being able to attain such glory. So he joined the next best organization to achieve that sort of greatness that he could think of, and that was the Galactic Council and the law enforcement branch of it. He's new to the station. He doesn't give two craps what anyone thinks about him. Thus far, he's spent about a day with Officer Shaw, and she's not terrible. He doesn't want to kill her yet. So he's tolerating. What he thinks of the station, the individuals, he doesn't care what they think of him. He hasn't had his opportunity to make his mark yet, but what he thinks of the individuals is the same thing he thinks of most people who have not seen the kind of war that he saw on his homeworld, is that you don't know how bad things can really get. Most people have no idea how bad things can really get. He knows that these Earthlings had a great war that spanned many countries and lasted for many years, but he comes from a war that was between two worlds and lasted decades, and they don't know how things can really go wrong. So he holds all of them at an arm's length and hopes that they don't do something stupid.
Then the only
May I
question...
ask how old he is?
He is in Sklar terms. He is just an adult. He's young.
Yeah.
So the only question that I would have, Craig, would be, as you approach this group and you see among its members an Eaglon, what's the first reaction, whether it's outward or inward, that takes your character?
Well, Nalar is oddly respectful, even though it doesn't necessarily come across that way because of the way he presents himself. But he does not treat people with disrespect. He will treat Valiant appropriately, because he has been ordered to. Once he learns what Valiant is like, then he will determine whether or not there's something there to hate.
Very good. So as you all are standing in front of this...
Things aren't looking good for the peacock, sorry.
So as you are all standing in front of this building, the things that you do know about this Helen of Joy is that with the massive tensions that have broken throughout Seraphim Station almost since its inception, Helen of Joy arrived and began spreading a message of peace. She had been able to conduct successful meetings between rival groups, whether they be labor organizations and corporations, even a brief meeting between the hierarchy of the Sklar and Eaglons, everything moving towards a more harmonious station. And it had begun to work. Violence was down, the constant organization and rallies and marches against specific avenues and political conflicts had at the very least simmered. They were no longer blazing. And as you stand outside of this, her abode, there is a reminder that as cold as this structure is, even with its architectural augments of Art Deco New York, this whole station will become much chillier if something has happened to Helen of Joy. But you are outside. The answers are inside. What would you like to do, my friends?
Greetings, everyone. It's good to see you all. You might know me, Valiant, from the recruiting posters. Who's our leader?
So Nevada moves up towards Valiant in an indirect line. Well, I'll be. You are that critter from the recruitment posters.
That's me.
That's fascinating. That's actually fascinating. I thought you weren't nothing more than a piece of figment of graphic design, but here you are in the flesh.
Valiant. It is nice to meet you.
My name's Nevada.
Nevada.
It ain't Nevada.
No. Nevada.
So, are you here to kind of boost morale?
I'm here to do what needs be done.
You here for a photo shoot or something?
No, although if there were a photo shoot, I would be here for it. I'm actually quite good at photo shoots. I'm if I do say myself, so say myself. If I do say so myself, I'm quite good at photo shoots. But what are we supposed to be doing here, sir?
Oh, so it's we. You're here for the investigation as well?
I am.
Well,
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I do believe that there may be a dead body in there, as I was told to come as well. So just something for us all to keep in mind. I'm not sure if you've ever taken a photo with a corpse before. Valiant, it's so nice to meet you. I've seen your posters everywhere. I actually have one in my room. It's really great to see you in person. But yeah, so it may be really gross in there. Just something to keep in mind. What you are smelling right now is me. I just want to get that out of the way. But when we go inside, the smells may be even worse.
Oh, and you are? It's a pleasure to meet you.
I'm Barris. Hi, I work in the basement, the like the really down secret, the seventh basement of the station.
It's funny because sometimes I'm on the top of the building, just sort of like a corner piece, So I'm on the top of the building, you're in the basement.
And I'm at the bottom. Yeah.
I bet you could start at the bottom and make your way on top. There's like a whole.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be there for a long time.
You're awfully cheerful, little feller.
Oh, well, I'm just really so happy to be here. I don't really get to work with others very often. Usually they are dead. So it's really just fun to kind of be around people who are alive. You guys move very differently and you smell different and you look different and all of your insides are like where they're supposed to be and my hands aren't touching them. So that's it's a fun new thing for me. Anyways, I feel like I'm talking so much. Oh, should we go in? Should we not?
Well,
what's happening? Hi.
The Rangers like to say, generally, you ain't learning nothing when your mouth's a jawing. So I'm going to step inside. You are a fascinating little thing. Last time I saw anything like you, it was on a salad. I don't like salads. I'll be inside.
But we have two other members of our crew.
We'll send them in when they get here. And he staggers off in the direction of the crime scene.
Okay. You all would see
just
Nevada
waves
moving.
to the other two. Valiant, Barris, that was Nevada. Greetings.
I could not believe it. They really did send the poster boy.
Yes.
Well, it looks like you're not the only rookie, Nayla. But you may call me Inspector Shaw, Special Operations.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Right, what info do we have? Has anyone been inside? Has anyone spoken to surveillance? Is there a doorman on the door?
Well, Nevada just went in there. Who?
He's very grating.
He's drunk. Can you smell him? Oh, wait. Apologies.
It's okay. Should we all go in together or I wasn't expecting so big of a crew. This is exciting. I'm sorry, what were your names again?
Inspector Shaw.
Inspector Shaw. Oh my gosh, wow, what a title.
I know, right?
And-
That's amazing. Special operations.
And this here, fresh off out of training, is Officer Naylor.
Officer, hello. Salute.
It's at this point, Naylor, you say hello.
Hello. Have you ever been involved in an investigation before?
I am usually I investigate scenes after they've kind of come to the most cataclysmic peak generally. So
I don't investigate so much as make sure traffic gets where it needs to go. And
super important.
Oh,
super
yeah.
important. Yeah.
That seems about right.
And make sure, of course, that that there are no riots. I do riot control. I do traffic control. I scope out the area, soaring through the skies.
Well, I do think that we should probably go in there because Nevada is already in there and I don't want him touching things. So I'm just going to scurry towards the door.
As you all begin to turn and the camera instead follows your gaze towards the building, Nevada is already at the front glass-sealed atmospheric doors of this prefab construction. Just inside the glass, which is transparent, again, very thick in case there is some type of hull breach, you see somebody dressed in the vestments, like the gray and burgundy trim of a door person, and they watch Nevada's approach as it zigzags towards the doors, hoping that one of the zigs will take it further away and not within the doorman's vicinity. But there is Nevada as you two stare at each other between this glass.
I'm Officer Neva Carell from Bice. I've been assigned here to this investigation. Now, if you'd shuffle a little bit off to the side and give me a point as to which direction I might be heading to find the object in question.
You hear, again, a speaker carries your voice to him, and you hear a depression as his voice is carried to you.
What brought you here, officer?
It appears that either I might have wandered over to the wrong domicile, or perhaps you are woefully underinformed in this situation. There appears to be a fairly high-profile death that requires immediate investigation. I trust you have secured the scene. Now, please open the door.
I'm sorry, officer. I was told to get a name before I open doors. A name of why you're here.
I am here, and leans in. I'm here for the investigation of the murder of Helen of Joy.
1 second, everybody. My headphones just cut out. Say that again, Shane.
I am here in the investigation of the unfortunate death of Helen of Joy.
Opening the door.
And you hear another click as the bar that closes it, and it opens for you.
Never ask how stupid someone is, because they'll turn around and show you.
As soon as it opens, the mechanical quality of the voice goes away. Yes, sir, it's right this way to the tubes, take you up to the 5th floor. That's where your other officer is. They're waiting up there, the 5th floor. It's only 2 on a level. It's 501.
I see. Wonder how many dance partners have been invited to this particular ball. And he makes his way over to the elevators.
At this point, the rest of you, if you have finished your conversations and introductions, would be making your way to the door as the doorman, again with his gray and burgundy piping. May I help you?
Oh, we
Yeah.
are with him, so I'm just gonna kind of keep on going through here. Pardon me, and I'm gonna just try and barrel my way through.
Oh,
And Valiant just looks at Officer Inspector Shaw. Just
okay.
I literally just show up, just like walk past. They're like, yeah, here's my thing. I'm going. Like,
Yeah, Nellar just goes right with Shaw. Makes a sort of a mental note to about what this fellow looks like, to make sure that if he has not been questioned already, he should be. He says, "How long are you on duty?"
I've been here all day, officer.
Yes. When does your duty shift end?
I'm here until 7.
What time is it? It's 4 or something right now.
A little bit after 4, about quarter after 4, station standard time.
You'd be advised not to leave without checking in with us. Thank you. And he just turns on his heel and walks.
Got a date as you walk off.
so, what is your name,
To the
doorman?
Perry Fuel. Perry Fuel.
Perry. Nice to meet you. Hey, you haven't seen anything suspicious around here, have you?
Present company excluded, no.
No, the person we're going to go in, whose room we're going to see, did they have any visitors, or do you have a log of that? Something, or have you seen them? When was the last time you saw them? I don't want to say their name out loud, no kind of panic.
She came in last night, didn't leave. And no visitors, no.
About what time?
She checked in last night, according to the log, a little bit before 11.
Was she alone?
She had her Carl unit with her, but you would know that the Carl unit is a Castron Corp artificial robotic liaison.
All right. And is there any other way to get out of this building except through this front door?
Each living facility has a, they look like windows, but they are sealed escape hatches in the event that there's a compromised element here at the base. Yes, each has an escape hatch.
And would that be logged if it were activated?
Yes, sir.
And you've had no logs whatsoever of that being activated?
Nope, I've been at my station the whole time.
I'm wondering if you might send over all of your surveillance footage in the hallways and the elevator. The things that you have would be excellent. Just beam it on over. Electronics. Just.
Sure. Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you, Perry. Thank you very much for your service.
Do I? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go head off with the rest of the group.
You are all gathered in front of the 2 tubes, the 2 elevator lifts that are there. Unless you want to do anything more in the lobby, you can arrive swiftly at the 5th floor. Or any floor you'd like.
No, just want to assess the crime scene first and I guess find out who this other officer is.
I am tempted to push all the buttons in the elevator, but I am able to read the room, and I do not.
As soon as you get into the elevator, you can hear the soft music kind of horns playing. And you zip up to the 5th floor. It opens and you see that it is a hallway that extends in one direction to 501 and in the opposite direction to 502. This hallway is internal. It doesn't appear to have any windows. The only exits being into 501, 502, and the bank of lifts that you just rode up. the horns continue to play, as soon as you get into this residential area of the building, it again carries through that not necessarily high society feel, but definitely a well cared for building. It has an inside the same type of external elements that one might find in the interior of a building in New York or Chicago. It seems otherworldly, being that you're on a moon of Jupiter. What will you do?
Is the door open to Unit 501?
A little bit, yeah. You can tell that just a little ring of darkness around the edge of the frame. These interior doors are very similar to the interior doors you would find anywhere. They are not sealed like a space station.
Nilar's going to give a listen at the door before just bursting in on somebody. We were not told anything about. Were we told about meeting someone?
You were not told about meeting. You were told by Commander Quint to show up here. Each of you were specifically told. You can roll, or you can draw me a perception, and if you've got sense, Craig, you can. I know you've got sense, but if you've got the skill.
Okay. So my perception is 2. I do not have the sense skill, so my card count is 2. I've got 2 cards I can flip. And that is the Good Joker.
So right off the bat, you get the Good Joker, which it's an immediate success, and you get 2 boons, I believe, with the Good Joker, and the ability to do another trait check if we'd want at this point.
Yeah, if somebody like kicks the door open into my face, I'm ready, right?
Right.
But otherwise, it's just it comes with a boon, so yeah, he does it really, really well, right?
Right.
So what do I hear?
So we're gonna give you this, Craig, as Nilar kind of moves forward, cocking all senses aware. As you begin to perceive and listen, you hear that there is movement from inside this residential apartment, but you also catch a very odd smell. It's almost a, not necessarily burned hair, but it carries that carbon quality to it. It's got an electrical kind of burn to it, as well as hair or something like fibers that have been caught. It just has a very acrid smell to it, and you catch
like
it coming.
Ozone. Correct.
You get it. You catch it coming from inside the apartment out into the hallway.
But it's definitely stronger at the door.
It is.
So the source of it is within.
Source is within. Correct.
Did you say the doors ajar, hinting at darkness, meaning that the room inside is dark?
You see a kind of a line of darkness, so it's darker inside than the outside, but the hallway here is very well lit, so okay. It's just maybe a difference.
Will you permit me to have a flashlight?
Sure. In fact, even though I said equipment couldn't be brought, you may at this point is a great time to talk about Moxie. If you'd like to spend a Moxie chip, you can take control of the narrative and tell me that you have.
Okay. I will totally. I'll grab one of my things and throw it in the middle for one of those, please. So what happens is I'm always prepared, and I have a flashlight, and I ready my laser pistol, and I line it up at the door, and I kind of give Naylor a look, just kind of expecting him to know what I want. Although we haven't been together very long, I'm just kind of, he should know how I roll. So I line up the light and my gun, and I just push the door open before I just kind of scout the room just to clear it.
Okay.
It's not a kick, it's a push.
You're just going to slow it open. Okay. Mm-hmm. So as the two, officer and recruit, will combine here a little bit, you spent your Moxie chip to have your torch or your light as you kind of cruise it in with your laser pistol out. And in conjunction with the awareness pull that Nalar just had, as it opens in tandem, the interior of the apartment is revealed to have several rooms to it that seem to be kind of honeycombed together. You can see a door leading to what would appear to be either a bathroom or a bedroom, a central living area, and then a low wall that goes over into a kitchen suite, and another kind of what would be like a seated or a sitting area. There is organic light in here. Now, you all know that there isn't flame allowed, or at least open flame allowed on the station, but several of the bulbs and lamps can be used to affect a candlelight look. And as the horns play out in the hallway, and there's almost a medieval quality to this organic shadows that are being cast, a figure steps around from the kitchen area, revealing themselves between the column of the low wall and here into the living area where the door is. And you see Commander Quint, who is of himself an Eaglon that is older. And if we're going with a peacock for Valiant, Commander Quint would be more vulture.
I instantly just raise my gun and lights out of the commander's face, and I go, "Sir, was not expecting you here."
I had to come down here and talk to you all about it because look, and he gestures to the apartment, and now with your light passing around and with the awareness pull, there isn't any furniture, no tables, no lamps. The flash of candlelight is actually coming from several lights that it looks were brought by Commander Quint. Small kind of station lamps that he has set up. Would she move out or something? The place is empty. At this point, the rest of you could be looking over the shoulders of the recruit and officer.
Forgive me, Commander, but I was under the impression that we were coming to Helen of Joy's place of residence. Was I mistaken in that?
No, this is it. There's just nothing here.
Well,
So a robbery also?
I don't know how you could get it all out, but maybe.
I mean, this place is stripped down to the doilies. That's one desperate thief.
Perhaps I have read in some books that people have a way of life known as minimalism. Perhaps Helen of Joy, as she was preaching her very poorly received message of peace and love, wanted to live a minimalist lifestyle, which I think is very, very admirable of her. Is there a body for me to invest? I don't. Why am I here, sir? Thank you for inviting me. Also.
He nods. We're here to figure out what happened. Helen of Joy came into this room. She never came out.
GM, will you permit me to go into the kitchen area and see if there's any food in the fridge or cupboard?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, this minimalism thing is a good theory.
I will let you know this. As soon as you get into what would be the kitchen area, the cube of refrigeration that would be almost a part of the building, it's there, but it's completely empty and the door is open.
Does it have that old refrigerator smell? Like
musty?
Food used to be in here, but no longer, and it hasn't been in here for a while. Is it like this is brand new and has never held food?
I tell you, smell the cold pizza from yesterday.
Right. I tell you what, because you have a competing smell in this room, roll me an awareness, and if you have sense, you can add a card to it, or pull me an awareness and.
Don't know. 1, I think.
Okay, and then do you want to? Let's see. Did you say you do have sense?
I have sense.
What's your score in your perception?
2.
2, so you can pull 2 cards, and if you've got,
sweet. Thank you.
if you have the skill sense, you can add another.
I do not.
Okay.
Okay. I got 2 8s.
Okay. Oh, okay.
There we go.
Alrighty. So as you pull these out, you don't see or sense or smell anything that would indicate that there had been food in here. You don't catch like that day-old pizza that Nevada said might be suspect to this little cube, but as you pull your hands back, you realize that your fingertips are covered in a bluish powder. It seems to have settled upon the surface of the handle and the top of the cube. And there's also some inside.
Forensics, come take a look at this.
Yeah, I'll immediately go when she calls me over and peer at what am I looking at? What do I see? With my forensic eyes, with my mushroom eyes.
What do your mushroom eyes see? Again, let's do another pull here. I will take perception, and in this case, or I will take expertise, perception, expertise, and you can add sense or science, or convince me to add something else.
I don't have anything that would help. So I'll do expertise. It's the same as a 2. So I flip over the cards one at a time. Is that correct?
One at a time, yes, and then you can elect whether or not you want to proceed after the first draw.
What am I? I'm purple, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's purple. Okay. A draw. Draw 1 card, not 2.
Please.
And I don't see it.
If you just, it got moved into your hand.
Where's my hand? Oh, here we go.
It's a little purple card that says 1 on it. If you went in roll 20, if you just drag like the little card that's pushed out on the top of the deck, if you drag that and just and release on the table, it just drops the card right on the table.
Okay.
But you can flip that 1 card first. You can drag that out.
Oh.
Or you can do that.
That's perfectly
Okay.
fine.
Yep.
With a 10, and with it also being spades, you figure out a couple things really, really quick.
Okay.
This is the telltale atomization of something that has been disintegrated.
Okay.
This is that generic dust that seems to accumulate whenever anything that is either organic or inorganic gets reduced down by a ray of disintegration.
Okay. Is it inside the fridge or outside the fridge?
It seems to be, now that you're looking around and you can see kind of on the cuffs of pants and shoes, it's everywhere.
Cool. Well, I do believe that I have an update to the theory about minimalism. I do not believe that she lived a minimalist life. I do believe that everything in this apartment may have been vaporized. These are just kind of that standard dust that is left behind when you just vaporize anything. It could be organic or inorganic. There's really no way to know without further testing. But it appears that it is everywhere, and everything in the apartment has been vaporized. Yeah,
She was minimalized then.
I do not know if any of these are her body. Do the piles, obviously, are there larger piles, like with the couch? If the couch were vaporized, would it be a really big pile versus smaller pile?
Absolutely, and as part of your spade draw, that I will let you know that, yeah, you can see now where the arrangement of furniture would likely be, as there is a kind of sofa-sized settlement of dust, a table-sized settlement of dust. It's not completely, defined by a border of what it used to be.
Right.
But there's, you can see the scene now.
As I'm looking around at these piles of dust, I guess the dust looks the same regardless of what was vaporized. So there's really no way for me to tell if one of these is a human body.
Correct. This is the same thing as like looking into a campfire and knowing that somebody burned up wood and they also burned up newspaper and additional things. There's no bones sticking out of it, or God forbid anything like that.
Right. Is there further tests that could be run in a lab to see if something? Okay.
Absolutely.
I believe that we will need to just get a small sample from every pile of dust that we see. Please label them and keep them separate, and I will be able to run further tests at the lab. But until then, I will not be able to tell you whether or not any person or persons were vaporized, as well as the furniture and the food and everything else in the apartment.
I'm not in the apartment. I'm like standing at the threshold of the apartment. And when Barris tells us all of that and all this is going on, I just sort of lift my feet up off the ground so I'm not touching the ground because I have wings. And I'm going to actually look in the hallway on the carpet and around to see whether or not somebody might have tracked dust outside of the
Do your
apartment.
wings flap? Are you flapping your wings? Excuse me, Valen, I do hate to point this out, but when you flap your wings around dust, it does spread it everywhere, and you are now mixing the piles, which makes it very difficult
He's
for me to do my
outside of the
job. So if you
apartment.
could please lower.
He's not in the
Oh,
apartment.
okay.
He's not in the apartment.
Okay.
He has not stepped inside. So I want to see if there is evidence of somebody having left this apartment and tracked dust outside.
Sure. Perception, and you can add sense if you have it, or anything you can convince me
I have
of.
no sense.
I didn't think
Come
so.
on now.
I was going to be nice and ask.
A 7, that's not good enough. An 8 of diamonds.
You don't see anything that seems to have the same consistency of this dust. There's no defined prints that seem to have gone from the inside to the outside. I will let you know that you kind of come to the conclusion that if someone were to leave right now, having been inside the apartment, prints definitely would collect in this hallway. They'd be visible enough. You don't see any, though.
And I say, I don't notice any tracks on the outside of the apartment hallway. You know, I'm like looking at walls.
Someone should go speak to the neighbors. Disintegration isn't exactly the most silent way to destroy items.
Nalar's going to check the window or windows to see if anything, if it's, if they're in their set and locked position that they're normally in, to see if it looks like anything's been opened, closed up. If there's dust, like and particularly if there's dust on the frame, like on the lower sash frame, like let me know about that in particular. But he's going to take a look at all the windows, especially if there are any of them that are right near, starting with anything that's right near like the quote unquote crime scene, which actually, given that everything's been disintegrated, I think the entire apartment is the crime scene.
Right. I will say this, Craig, the very first one that you see is the kind of there is a hatch that is defined over the kitchen sink. This is a flip down sink, so it bears more of an industrial space station feel than perhaps the other elements would have in a traditional apartment. But as you look through it, you realize that, one, there isn't any dust as you have looked through there. And using your earlier pull, since we didn't really get a chance to give you a boon, I'm going to say this one is open. This window has been cracked. The seal has been lifted to the point where it's been pulled back into place, but not firmly closed. And just through the window, you see what looks like a hanging garden, like a window box. And it is not disintegrated.
I'm going to motion the mushroom over. And point out there's a window box here. I'm going to take a look to see. I'm looking for evidence,
and it seems to have
their
survived. So
evidence of if there was any sort of like a grapple or a hook or anything, or handprints in the dirt, anything that makes it look like the window box was used as a grab point or leverage point for dealing with the window, or if barring any of that kind of happening, is like trying to discern potentially whether we have somebody who flew in and out the window, who perhaps used some other ability or piece of equipment that allowed them to not disturb or nick up the box or do anything like that.
Absolutely. In fact, I will allow both of you, as you kind of congregate there in front of this open window and the box, you both can roll a perception for me, and to look around unless there's something kind of scientific-y that you'd like to do, Heavenly, and then you can do your expertise that you did before, and then add any skill that you think you can convince me is pertinent here.
I think while Nalar is checking to see damage or kind of the state of the box, I'll be looking around the floor right in front of the box, looking for like fibers, hair, slime trail, like anything that would suggest some type of organic being passed through here. I'm not interested in how they got in, but whether they were in.
Absolutely. Okay.
And in the process of looking at the window, I'm also looking to see if there's a way to open the window from outside, or a way to force it, or a way to, if it's something that like has any sort of security to it whatsoever, that you might have to do something electronic to try to, to get the window to release, if there's like a mag lock or anything like that. And Nalar has a skill in mechanicals, which is like all of your small devices, electronic and electrical and mechanical devices that are like not like vehicle size. They're so to see how this was operated. Or
absolutely.
I can look into that as well.
Rule question. So when you draw 2 cards, you draw them one at a time. If I draw a second card, I would then have to go with the second card. I don't get to choose the first card. Okay.
That's correct. Here's the crux of the mechanical system. You flip the one card. The pip value of the card determines success versus failure. 2, 3, 4, all the way up to ace high. And the suit determines the degree of success or failure. So if you flip like a king, that's probably going to be successful. But if it's clubs, it's barely successful. There's a complication, that sort of thing. If you flip and so you might want to flip another card, or you might just take the complication. If you flip something like a 9 or a 10, that's decent. But if you get a really good suit, you might want to gamble and keep it, because if you get like spades as being the best suit, then like you might want to take the chance and like hope that the pip value is good enough, because the spades is going to make it really good. And then when you flip the card one at a time, if you flip another card, the old card's gone.
Okay.
So are you going to hold at the 10 of spades?
Did I not draw that last time?
That's the 10 of clubs.
Oh, is it the clubs?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
I'm staring at I need to make my roll 20 bigger.
Clubs
Or
are
I need to get younger, I think is what I need.
May I spend a moxie to say that I brought some type of device that does kind of a UV or a blue light or a black light type reading of the carpet, the wall, wherever I shine it, that would give me a little bit extra something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Help.
Yeah, sure thing. If you want to spend a moxie for that. Let's see. Technically, we'll put it down as a boon. How's that?
Okay.
Maybe like a one-time use, since it's a very specific thing.
Yeah. I'm down with that.
So yeah, if you want to hold with the 10 of clubs and add your boon moxie to it, we can definitely do that. And Craig, you want to go ahead and go, and then that way we can give information together as you...
That 3's no good.
10 of diamonds.
10 of diamonds is not too bad. I am going to spend a moxie to try... one of the things you can spend moxie on is to get another card, but only one on a trait check. You can only do it one time for a trait check. And then I got a 4, which negates the 10. So I'm going to spend another moxie. One of the things you can use moxie for is to go back to a previous card. So I'm going to blow that moxie to stick with the 10.
Okay.
After the 4, after my gamble failed.
Fantastic. So as the two of you kind of descend on this, I'll let you know what you jointly uncover, kind of head side by side, as Mushroom and Sklar kind of jockey for position and knowledge. Heavenly, you're able to figure out quickly as you're using your device. You scan the side of the frame of this window, this escape chute, and you see several hair fibers that looks like they probably were caught between the actual panel of glass and the track in which it rode. And so they seem to have been pulled free of whatever they were pulled free of, but they were uncovered as soon as you lifted the window again, and you're able to find that kind of settled in the dust. Whenever Nalar, when you look outside, you realize that there is a pad to open from the exterior. It's probably used for emergency services. You can also tell with your roll that it has been recently activated. There's no way to kind of wipe that clean. And so it holds the same promise of something that says it's almost like once you pull a fire alarm, you can't just push it back up and reset it. It needs to be professionally done. And both of you realize that there is, in fact, a little garden out here. It has a little, like, sun lamp set outside for the herbs to grow in, and also what looks to be a time-lapse camera.
Valiant, by the way, just does not go into the apartment, but from the outside, he says, I talked to Perry, the doorman, and he says there's been no electronic logging of any of these windows having been opened. So I just thought that might be interesting information that because it looks like these windows have been opened, but they've not been registered that way. So someone might have tampered with our electronic records.
Coming from
I'm going to gather the hairs and put them in a little bag.
You're able to do so.
I'm going to examine the camera. Is it wired into anything, or is it a like a stuck in or stuck on wireless kind of thing? Does it work off of what kind of how does I want to make sure that I don't disconnect it from something, and if the power goes, the recording goes.
Right. It appears to be a unit unto itself, and it's called "You Grow It, You See It," and it looks like something that somebody that is a garden aficionado would put down so they could see their little creatures sprout and grow.
Oh, it's a flower baby monitor.
It is. It's exactly what it is.
All right. Well, I will. Well, do Sklar have fingerprints?
Do you have fingerprints? Is what you're at?
I like in your world. I don't know if Sklar have fingerprints. I don't want to contaminate the camera when I remove it. We came here out of, I guess I could use the sleeve, pull my hand in and use the sleeve to grab
absolutely.
it so that we can remove that and put that into, it looks like the Museri, the mushroom person, came with little baggies for evidence. Well prepared, well done. So we can pull that because we're going to need to, it might have been touched by someone as well. Not only for the sake that it might have caught video of somebody. So I'm going to remove that carefully and make sure that I don't contaminate it in any way.
Okay. You're able to do so, and we're going to say that as Nevada and Leone, you're standing in the apartment proper here. The only thing, and without the need for a pool, the only thing that you see in here that is different from one room to the next, everything seems to be, regardless of how far into the apartment you go, you are met with a base empty apartment that has this level of dust in varying depths across it. You do, however, notice that in the kitchen unit, in addition to the refrigeration cube, there is a garbage chute.
Somebody appears to have nuked this whole abode from the top to the bottom.
Are there scorch marks on the walls? I suppose this is a question about how disintegration rays work. If there is some kind of willy-nilly exciting disintegration ray combat, I mean, I don't know. In that situation, if this were in a conflict situation, might there be scorch marks on the walls to indicate that things might have gone wild, or does that not how disintegration rays work? My point being, can we tell from what this place looks like if somebody went through quite calmly and then just disintegrated everything without there being stress, or if there were some sort of disintegration ray battle where things hit the walls?
Sure. To explain how disintegration rays work, I'd like you to harken back to the pulp sci-fi of the 50s. This is where you just hit something with the disintegration ray, and the outline of that entire thing disappears.
It glows.
And it flashes, and then it's gone. So if
Like Marvin the Martian.
Exactly.
He had one of those things.
So it's a highly efficient form of disintegration that doesn't require a lot of technical knowledge. You just hit it and it goes.
That is excellent.
I tend
But
to
can you
Nevada.
miss? And if you miss, would it make a impression on the wall?
Let's just say that if you were engaged in some type of disintegration battle, it would likely disintegrate whatever it would hit. And so to set it up as canon, if it missed and hit a wall, it would have taken out the whole wall.
That's all I needed to know.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
So I tend to Nevada.
Is it safe to assume that maybe Victoria and I know each other from the police department?
You seem to be the
Yeah.
most senior members, I would think. I mean,
Yes,
it's up to you.
yes, I think
We're the old guard. So I'll sidle up to her and say, well, it looks like you got saddled with a minion. How's he playing out so far?
I don't know, he's got a chip on his shoulder, but then again, when I was his age, so did I.
Interesting.
Anyway, and I'm just kind of like thumbing the bin chute. I'm gonna go talk to the neighbors because someone had to hear something. Why don't you take a look down there?
I'll do it.
I know you will. Better you than me. These are my good boots.
And I'm wearing my favorite hat today, but that's fine though, Missy. I know that I know better than to argue with your plan. The Rangers used to say that there's two techniques for arguing with a woman. Neither of them work. Have fun. And I'll sidle over to the garbage chute.
Okay. This is a very large chute. It is something that for this particular area and probably part of Space Station or the Seraphim Station code enables you to get rid of just about anything that you want to put down there. It's not big enough for like a couch or anything like that, but could it easily fit something, I don't know, around the size of a large trash can nowadays, or
Like a body, maybe?
a body could definitely get, like if you wanted to ride down, you could, but it's a sheer drop.
I don't know. I guess I would do. How would I do? Essentially, if I've got, let's say, if I've got insight, does that correspond to like any sort of investigation, or is that more of an interpersonal skill?
It's more from my understanding, Craig, it's more of an interpersonal skill. It's more of kind of gleaning.
Yeah, it's figuring out a person, what their motivation is, what their strengths, their weaknesses, whether they're lying, all of those personal insights.
Well, I'll do some sort of investigation or perception check here on the mouth of the chute to see if there might be any evidence of what might have most recently gone down the drain.
Sure thing. Pull me a perception, and if you have sense, you can add that to it as well, or convince me of something else. And I'm sorry, Tori, not Vicky, are you going down to the lobby? Is that what you said?
No, so it's 501, so I assume there's a 502, a 503. I want to speak to the neighbors.
Okay. It's very quickly you go out into the hall. You would see Valiant there, and
I'm gonna follow her.
Okay, as the two of you then go down to 502, you would quickly realize that this is unoccupied. The door opens and it's empty, but without dust.
Okay, what about the others? Like, is it flanked or is it the first one? So it was just like wall. How's this apartment building set up?
It's set up. It goes up 10 stories. It has 2 apartments per floor, and so we're going to assume that there is a 601, a 602, all the way up to 1001, 1002.
There might be someone above and below, so we're going to try that too.
Could be.
Agreed.
Where are you going first, above or below?
I'm going to go up because then going down the stairs would be easier.
Okay.
I'm wearing my good boots, but they're not comfortable. He told me to dress down.
So you get to 601. 601 is also empty. Doesn't seem to be anybody in this building or this floor so far, other than the occupancy that was room indicated by Helen of Joy or occupied by Helen of Joy.
Okay. What about? Okay, we go downstairs. 401.
Okay. As you get down to 401, let's cut back into the room of 501. And I'd just like the position for Nalar. I'd like a position for Nevada and Barris. Where are all of you right now?
That's ominous.
I'm standing with my head half down the garbage chute, trying to perceive whatever an 8 is going to let me know about what went down the chute most recently.
You can guess trash.
Sorry. Me.
But you are not, I'm being a smartass, but you are 5 stories up and you can see this sheer drop, much like a modern chute would be. You don't sense anything different. There's nothing that seems to have caught on the chute as it was exited or dropped. However, 5 stories down, you can see that there is some type of room that opens up.
Probably need to go and check and see what might have been thrown down there. Smells like the alley where I woke up this morning. I'll just stand up and look over at Nalar as he's stuffing that little camera in the baggie.
I'm just wandering, trying to gather samples from all of the dust piles. So I'll say at this point I'm still working in the living room because it probably had the most amount of stuff. And I don't know if in the space world we still use plastic bags or if we have little vials that we're using for evidence. Whatever, I'm compiling that.
I view this as Craig has put it in the book or as in the PDF. This is the pulp science world, so it doesn't have the things that we've kind of grown to. I always think of when you look back at the dials and knobs and the really ineffective, they use glass still with like metal stoppers, and it's all like hard elements and things that probably wouldn't necessarily be used in the future. That's what you have. You have little glass vials, and you've got tubes, and you've got slides.
Brown, like brown paper envelope set.
Right.
As far as, that could get torn,
Right.
Gumshoe materials.
Yeah.
You can't get pads of paper. Everything's like leather bound and strapped. Like everything is grand and big. There's an up staircase and a down staircase. I just, the olden days. But anywho.
And Nalar is just with Barris getting that camera secured in an envelope or a little bag or whatever it is she's got with her, or they've got with them.
Are you about to spring something on us, or can I talk to Nalar?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, if you're talking to me, you may have a conversation anytime you'd like.
Well, when the
Including
DM
while
wants
you're
to
being
know
kidnapped.
Positions,
Tell me
you
where
assume
you are.
something's about to jump out of the hat.
How dare you? Okay.
To Nalar, hold up, Greenhorn. What do you got there in that baggie?
There was a camera outside, an open, partly open window. We need to examine what the camera might have recorded.
A brilliant deduction. How about we do that?
I look around for a video screen. Do I see one?
Would I be able to give
In a
you one
room
of
that
them
I know has nothing in it.
shiny little Moxie coins to jack that son of a gun into my hologram projector and put on a show for all of us?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. So I gingerly take the camera if he's going to offer it to me. I jack it into a little cable that comes out of my right ear, plug it in, set the little camera up there on my hat. And there's a couple of beeps and chirps, and then projecting from my visor onto the counter there in the kitchen is the scene of the planter. And DM, you just take it from there.
Well, you can see in its time lapse, so it's really quick. You can see that, that it still pictures are taken every however often she had it set in her options menu, but as it blitzes through, you see coming to the window, looking down lovingly at this, the picture or the face of Helen of Joy. Helen of Joy is Angela Bassett, and for a face claim. And as Helen of Joy continues to kind of come back rapidly, watching the growth of these things, her face is a dominant feature in the horizon of these little plants that are growing. You do also see another face that pops up and looks and seems to tend and water. And this face, as it looks over, is Joe Fine, face claim from Shakespeare in Love, everybody played Shakespeare. So I'm showing my age, but anyway, goes over and you see that this person is also filling, and you would all recognize this Joe Fine's character as a Carl, which is a robotic liaison or a android companion. And again,
Sexbot.
Perhaps, and we're not sure what options we're taking.
Do they look superhuman?
Depends on the
Do
attachment.
they look like robots with just sculpted faces?
They again, everything I'm drawing from, because Craig just when he paints the picture of like 50s sci-fi, pulp sci-fi, these androids look like androids, but they're just a touch too perfect. The hair is always perfect, the features and the pores and the everything perfect. Just everything is meticulous. If there's a little bit of scruff on the face, it's perfect, as if it's just come from the barber shop or being tended to. There's never go ahead.
So Gigolo Joe from AI.
Yes.
Jude Law with the perfectly coiffed hair and the unmarred skin, and
to show you all how affected I was by
kind
those,
of plastic,
right, by those movies. I went through and I was like, face claims, and I'm like, Jude Law, no, I can't, he's been I went there, I was like, Michael Fassbender, nope, I can't, he's been a robot. And then I got down and I was like so
Joe Fine been a robot?
No, he's been. I'll take Joe Fine for 1,000. So that's what you see. You see this kind of moving, and then at the very end, you catch a shot, and this is a still frame where it pauses. In Nevada, you can stop it as the action shows the window opening. The timestamp shows it to have been right around 1:20 this afternoon, and you see Helen of Joy being ripped through the window. You don't see what's ripping her through the window. It just seems to have caught her as you see her eyes wide right in front of the camera of the little vegetables that she had so lovingly tended.
Like ripped back in the window as if she was hanging out it.
Ripped out the window. As if
like
she... outside. From inside to outside.
Well, I'll be dang.
And you're playing this for everyone to see?
Yep, it's the Sunday picture show here. It looks like we may not be dealing with a murder scene, maybe more of a kidnapping.
Or perhaps the murder scene is just in a different location, which is just as likely.
Well, aren't you a ray of sunshine?
And with that being said, let's cut down to 401. Where at 401, Valiant and Inspector Shaw get to the door, and as soon as you knock, a older gentleman by the name of Henry Cale walks. Yes, can I help you?
I'm Inspector Shaw. I'm here to inquire about anything you may have heard that was suspicious of late.
Well, let's see. I've heard that everybody's upset and there's going to be another strike. And I heard that we're not going to get any more nectarines in. It's troubling.
I meant more specifically about your neighbors or lack of neighbors.
I don't talk to anybody because they don't talk to me. I'm extroverted. Too wild for most.
No, for example, anytime between 11 o'clock last night and early this morning, did you hear any strange thumpings above, in the apartment above? For example.
These are all sealed. I couldn't hear anything.
If I might ask one question, your apartment complex seems oddly
Populated.
Thank you. Underpopulated. Do you have any thoughts on that? Is this normal?
Well, that was my third thing after the nectarines. They just sold the building, and they're telling everybody that they're not renewing leases.
Who's your building manager?
Well, I pay up to Diamond and Corp.
And do you know who the new owners are?
They didn't tell us who they would be because we wouldn't have any relations with them.
When was the building sold? You said recently. How recent?
Last month. I pay up my rent half year. They got me
Did
for
you get a
5 more months.
They're not pressuring you to leave earlier, are they?
Yes.
Oh.
I believe they're behind the nectarines.
So your old was Diamond Corp, and you don't know the name of the new holding company?
No, they just told us that they wouldn't renew our leases as they came due.
It's all right. We can check records for that.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to come in and sit down, have a drink?
Thank you very much, Mr. Kale, but we're quite busy at the moment. Perhaps another time.
Okay. I'm here for at least another 5 months. If you find any nectarines.
I'll be sure to drop them off.
Let's cut back up to 501. I would like everybody in the apartment, which is Sklar, and everybody, regardless of where you are in the apartment, I'd like everyone to pull a perception, please.
Okay.
Perception sense.
Sense if you have it, yeah.
That sounds like initiative.
Pull a second one. Oh, why is that one blood splattered?
Well, that's the bad one.
Because you're in forensics. That's why.
I got a strange little feller on my card.
Okay.
Looks like Ernest Borgnine.
It is Ernie B. We're going to say that Craig, you and Shane, because of your positioning, are aware that just as you're looking around in your various pursuits, you see as Barris is leaning over and filling up everything that she's kind of collecting, just subtly, the entire ceiling ripples.
Okay, like wavy ripples, like physical object,
right,
changing shape, or like flicker, like digital flicker.
No, it's as if somebody took a very small pebble and dropped it in a very still, almost subterranean pool, where once there was solid, just quickly, and then, but it's there for just a second. So I need to know, Nalar and Nevada, what do you do?
I'll lean over and Greenhorn. I'm sensing a little visual disturbance. However, I don't necessarily trust my perception at the moment. Did you happen to catch anything?
Noir ignores you, runs out of the room. He's got a prehensile tail. And one of my boosts for that is a speed boost. So I'm going to invoke that, which is going to increase my speed. I'm going to bolt up to that level, to the apartment above, as quickly as I possibly can. And if there's a way to do this just via a stairwell, I don't want to wait for a lift tube or anything. If there's a stairwell, I want to get up there as quickly as possible.
Sure, I'll say.
Guess when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Nevada, you would see as this is like almost like a gecko type of sprint that takes Nalar.
He licks his eyeball.
As you move, you are going to be able to make it out past the threshold, but as soon as you kind of turn to hit the same stairs that Shaw and Valiant had taken, you see the ceiling in the room that you were just in drop. And as it splashes onto the ground, it does something. And that something is attack. As a large appendage rips out and fires at our beloved Mushroom Inspector.
No!
And so, let me get my information up here. As this blob drops,
Goodness.
let's see, and I'm going to draw again. So a Queen of Diamonds, this is against your body score. So as this attack comes out from this blob, what is your body, Heavenly?
10.
10? Okay. So with a strike against you, let's see here. Strength plus fisticuffs, and I drew, what did I draw? A diamond as he squints, not being able to see. You are going to take 2 hits as this. So
Ow.
you lose 2 hit points as this punch comes out and smacks you as this large creature begins to mold and spin and whirl. Nevada, this is exactly in front of you. You, however, are not surprised because you saw the ripple. Nalar, you are not surprised because you were able to take a move. So at this point, what I'm going to have everybody do is let us do a little initiative. Craig, would you like to tell us how we determine who goes first in this system?
Sure. With the checks that you've been typically making, you know how you flip multiple cards, because that the assumption is that your character is putting effort into it. They're kind of concentrated, thinking about what they're doing, making their best effort. With an initiative check and some other types of checks, it's what's called a reaction check. So it's a quick reaction. You will. This is going to be an agility sense reaction check. So you take your agility score, add +1 if you have sense, and you flip only 1 card, but you add that card count, that normal card count total. So if you had like an agility of 2 and the sense skill, you'd have 3. You would add 3 to the 1 card that you flip.
So with that being said, I need everyone to draw a card, with the exception, Heavenly, this will count for you for next time, so we can kind of get you in an order. But you are... Ooh! The Ace of Spades. Fantastic.
Ace of Spades.
When he is God.
Including Leonie and myself as well.
Yes, please. You guys can absolutely go right ahead and do that.
Okay,
I have a perk called Quick Reflexes, which says that I can pull 2 cards and choose the best one.
Awesome. Then do so.
I will.
That 3 is terrible. So I'm going to spend a moxie, which I can do 1 time here, to flip another card. And I got a 2, which is worse. Hello, I rock my game. Fear me. I'll suck it. I was going to be going last. So.
What is the situation that triggers Moxie to be restored?
I can give it to you if you happen to botch a roll. I can award you one as well. But
I think also your identity has like mine does. Like I restore Moxie based on my identity. Like as a glory hound, if people praise me for doing a good job,
right,
then I can get Moxie back.
I don't believe you've had any of that recently. So
the stuff that comes from your anchors typically kicks in. We will, like, when we finish a major scene, we were still kind of in the middle of the big investigation scene, where you can petition for one. Everybody gets a Moxie automatically for finishing a big, a major encounter, and then you can get one for one of your anchors as well. But we hadn't quite gotten there, unfortunately.
Almost. So yes, so as everybody breaks down here, it looks like that we are going to go Shane, Heavenly, and then the Thing, Leone, Trooper, and Craig.
Yeah.
Shane, what would you like to do as you see this splash?
Well, almost instinctively, reflexively, as this pseudo-potty, snotty thing attacks my favorite salad ingredient, I just whip this thing out and fire off from my laser pistol.
Alrighty, so with laser pistol, as you pull that one out, you are able to draw forth from that. I believe it's an agility plus. If you have your guns, you may use that as well. I'm assuming Nevada has guns. I don't think
I do have guns as a skill.
So it would be whatever your agility is, +1 for guns. And I'm going to go ahead and recall all of these, everybody. Or you can just keep
come on, y'all.
You may spend a Moxie to... You have several draws left, so...
What does that mean?
What's your score in your agility?
+1. It's a 1.
Okay, so you have your agility and then another draw for your guns. So you can draw another card for your gun skill.
Right.
So you've got 2.
Yeah.
Come on.
And you can spend...
Let's do a Moxie for 3 then.
Let's do it.
You don't have to spend the Moxie until you've... have you been flipping cards? I missed.
He did, yeah. There's
a lot of cards on the table. Yep, so you got your second one and went like, well, that's terrible. One more. Oh, no.
All right, so...
So the drunken cowboy just whips it out. And I assume shooting up the walls.
Right, where there were no scorch marks before, there are plenty now as the laser kind of skips along the wall a bit, leaving a burn mark that kind of crop dusts the one wall. The creature moves and kind of roils around this, splitting and then reforming together as the blast goes in a space it formerly occupied. And with that, we get to Heavenly. Heavenly, Varys just took the punch. What do they do now?
Ow. Okay. Did I see Nevada shoot at it and it... Sorry, let's go back. What do I see? Is there an arm coming down from the ceiling that just, like, whipped me in the ass?
Yes, exactly. No, what it is this is a blob. It has no shape that you can see, but this large, like, pod came firing out of it and just smacked you and then sucked back inside this kind of cellular creature.
Okay. I do have 2 guns. I will draw my weapons and I'll say, well, that was very rude, and I am always prepared for the situation in which the bodies are not fully dead, but I'm going to instead use my ability, because I can just use those, right? As an action. I'm going to use Deep Boost, which is a telepathy check where I am searching for a deep thought, such as a secret or a weakness or a love. So preferably maybe a secret or a weakness. If I get a glimpse of this creature's wife or husband, I guess that will also be okay. But I'm definitely trying to find a weakness or any secrets that it has.
Sure, absolutely. And does it tell you what your a trait and what it activates?
Is going to be charisma versus target's mind.
And for this, I'm also going to allow you, if you'd like, and I'm not sure if it does, but you can also add science as a skill to your card draw if you'd like, because of the nature of this creature.
But I don't have the skill science.
It's charisma insight for telepathy.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is insight.
Oh, charisma insight. What's my insight? How do I know what that is?
That's a skill.
If you have that, I can check too, since I have your stuff.
Trait checks are always written as the trait / the skill.
Oh, so I have to have insight as a skill to use it?
You do not have to have. You never have to have the skill. You just default to just the trait.
Yeah. So you
I
just
do
just
have the skill
just your
sense.
charisma.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll use my charisma.
And you're doing this as a boost, so you're going to lose 1 card.
Okay. So that's good to know.
But a queen.
Queen of clubs. Okay. So you don't get anything from this creature per se. You don't see a blob family or blob children that it's desperately trying to protect. But what you do see is almost a flashback to an extraction. And perhaps you've seen this before or heard about it before in your profession, where these creatures, these blobs, they can be replicated if smaller blob like nodules are pulled from a larger mass, and it's almost like you're witnessing this creature's birth. And it's odd, and the sensation is strange because it's very primal, but with the numerous perceptions that you have as this newly formed and birthed blob, you see yourself in a lab, and the lab says Diamond Core. And that's where we'll end this session of Capers Offworld.
Oh.
I have a bad feeling about this Diamond Corp. I'm just saying, I have a bad feeling about them.
Nah,
I had such a bad feeling about them. I wrote their name down.
Me too. It's on my paper.
Oh, right. I'm going to take these off because I can't see anything.
My makeup is awesome.
Apparently, Leonie, neither can I.
Not helping your perception checks.
That's why I kept drawing 7s.
It's fair.
All right, everybody, let us jump around and say goodbye to our lovely friends. I forgot to take our break because I was so into it. I apologize, everybody. But let's jump down. Let's go to Craig first. Craig, my friend, how are you? And where can we find you online?
I'm good. You can find me at Nerdburger Craig on Twitter. If you go to nerdburgergames.com, there's regular content going up there, including stuff for Capers every week. And then there's like on the contact or whatever the page is called now, because I just got the thing redesigned. There's a Discord channel. You can find that. And I'm pretty active in the Discord as well. So you can always check in if you want to ask about the games or just chat. There's some pretty cool people in the Discord. That's where you can find me. And there's a Kickstarter. We know about that, right?
Absolutely. And everybody, link is just down below. I'll throw it up in chat in just 1 second as we talk to Heavenly, the happiest mushroom in the world. Everything about the Inspector is to be loved in this world of chaos. And how are you, my friend, and where can we find you?
This was a very, very fun first session, and I'm really excited to see where we go and how I assume that we're probably going to take down Diamond Core. I feel like that's really the only logical conclusion from this first episode. We do have to bring down this entire corporation to its knees, preferably from the inside. So that'll be really something to look forward to. You all can find me on Twitter at @thatismyrealname. THT is my real name.
Fantastic. Trooper, my friend, how are you, and where can we find you online?
I am Trooper SJP, and I'm about to take down some Diamond Corp baddies with my buddies, but not right now because the session is over. So actually next Sunday, but if it were next Sunday, which would be pretty awesome because I'm really excited to take down a corporate, although probably a blob first. I can't get ahead of ourselves, but you know. You can find me at Trooper SJP here on the Twitch or Academic Foxhole on Twitter, and I'm I love Barris like so much. Like I just want Barris to like sit on my little shoulder and then also
He
talk
needs
about
an
dead
action
bodies.
figure, kind of like a troll doll.
Yes, we need a Barris. We need a Barris action figure. So hardcore. I'm so excited. Thank you, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. I'm really excited for what will happen next. And thank you, Craig, for letting us play Off-World early before other folks have had a chance to.
Amazing and fantastic. And over to Leone, my friend. The voice of reason amidst the somebody said in chat, like the Rick and Morty Nevada and all of our lovely and varied cast. My friend, how are you and where can we find you online?
Hello, everybody. I'm Leonie, also known as Gloss and Gadgets. And yet, someone had to be the sensible person. You know, I was like, well, I'm going to be the human. You know what? I'm going to be the straight lace cut inspector human because I don't play that. I'm lying. If you know me, you know, I play a lot of paladins. So I'm just playing to my strength, really. And yes, when I'm not here, I'm over on my own channel, Goldheart Group, which you can, of course, see me in chat as Goldheart Gaming. And Craig, thank you so much for your little messages in the Zoom chat going, hey, this is how it works. Because I was just like the entire time going, what?
That's okay.
Where do
No problem. We all get excited. We all get excited. The game's new. By the end, you will all be experts. I will make sure.
I'm so looking forward to being an expert. I'm loving this card system. So thank you so much.
Fantastic, and thank you so much to all of the anonymous gifter for all of the subs that were just handed out. How very, very nice. Very appreciated. And finally, last but certainly not least, our Rick and Morty cowboy, Shane, my friend. How are you? And where can we find you?
I'm doing good. I love this group. Some of the finest folks I've ever rolled dice or pulled cards with. I have to say that. I'm excited about Nevada's journey, because seeing sweet old Helena Troy yanked out a window like that gets my blood to boiling. That's why I became a vice cop to begin with. I'm sure whoever took her has nefarious purposes in mind. My visor's all fogged up. Now I look like Indiana Jones. I'm Shane, Mage and Sage on Twitter, though I'm not really active. It takes an invitation from Greg to pull me out of retirement, but I'm sure glad to be here and looking forward to next week.
Awesome. I can't, so happy to be back with this great group. Have Craig bring a fantastic game for us all to play and jump into. And I exactly what Leone said. I'm enjoying this so much. It's easy and very different and very intuitive whenever you get into everything. And you see it real time as it's played out. Again, the assets from Roll20 are great. The link is down below. If you want to go grab those, I think Ozzy said it in chat, just for the poker table, which is great. It has a lot of really good assets for it. I was playing just the poker with somebody on another. We just decided to play online poker, whatever. It was very, very fun. Anyway, my name is Greg Grimjack21502 on the Twitter, Tales from the Grim here on the Twitch. We have a lot of fun things coming up, most notably this show again next Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. This Wednesday, we have Witcher Family of Wraiths at 8 p.m. Eastern. We have a brand new show that is going to be starting in a couple weeks on Friday that is GM'd by Alice, White Rabbit pick from the Scraticus Academy. It's going to be Cypher System. It's going to be very fun. Please check out the Twitters and all that for everything that's happening. But
is anyone cool in that game that's run by Alice? Alice is super awesome as a GM.
I'm trying to think if there's any cool people. I know that there's a lot of cool people there. Oh, you're there too, Trooper.
Oh.
We're gonna have a lot of fun.
The penny dropped.
We're gonna have a lot of fun. I can't wait. Alice is Alice mentioned that there might be elements of horror, which if you've ever seen Alice do Cthulhu or something in the horror realm, is spine tingling and all the right ways. I can't wait. It's going to be very, very, very fun. Please check us out for that. But be back here next Sunday at 1 p.m. as we dive into some more and take on Diamond Core. But as we say for the very first time, As the campfire goes down, there's only one thing to say. You can't always flip aces, but you can play with friendly faces. We'll see you next time, friends.
Oh, yeah. Adios.
3,000 miles from home, trying to say that I will get there soon. 30 days I walk down this way, singing my madness to the moon. I met a cat on a tree, and it talked to me about things we don't see. I asked it, how do I know which is the right way to go to get me home? And it said, don't look for a reason, don't